Are you struggling to find top talent in today's market? Did you know that 85% of applicants now check out a company's online profile and reputation before deciding whether to even apply for the company or not? Well, today we're going to talk about recruiting, and let's go.
Running a home service business is hard. So how is it that some people make it look so easy? Well, we'll tell you. This is the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. It's always good to hear the wins that successful contractors have. But have you ever thought that the best advice would be to hear about the speed bumps they encountered, the mistakes they've made along the way? We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We want you to be successful and avoid the mistakes others have made. Let's get this party started. Welcome to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Now your host, Justin Deese.
All right. So what you heard from the beginning is we're going to be talking about recruiting. And here's my question before we get started. When you hear the word recruiting, what type of feelings does that bring up? I know for a lot of people, especially right now, recruiting is a tough thing, right? And finding top talent is really difficult. And so I want to take our time together today and really just kind of talk about a process, right? We're going to talk about a process called always recruiting, right? So we should always be recruiting, but we're going to dig in a little bit on what always recruiting, what does that even mean? What does that look like? We're going to talk about all of that stuff. So before we jump in, a couple of statistical facts I'm going to throw your way so that, I don't know, just to kind of food for thought sort of deal. So did you know that nowadays to fill a skilled job in the plumbing and AC industries is now over 30 days. So it's taking companies over 30 days in order to find top talent to get in their company. Now, think about this from a dollar and cents number. Think about your middle grade technician, service technician, or install technician. It doesn't really matter. What are they generating in revenue for you a month? So basically what I want you to think about is you're missing out on that much revenue, right? So there's a sense of urgency that we should all have when it comes to recruiting. And I think what most people do, and some of you listening are on this side of the fence here, is we hire when we need someone, and we're not always recruiting. And that's really what we're going to talk about. So let's jump into what always recruiting is. So always recruiting is an acronym, and it stands for actively seeking talent, leveraging social media, welcome referrals, appreciate and recognize talent, yield flexibility, seek feedback, and act on it. There you go. There's the always. So we're going to dig in to what each one of those mean individually. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about what are some issues with finding talent. Because I know when I talk about recruiting, I think it's probably pretty easy for everyone to kind of roll their eyes. And I think we typically have, I don't know, I would say 3 or 4 things that I hear people say more often than not, right? Here's the biggie. No one wants to work. Or no one wants to work. Everybody wants a paycheck. We blame the millennials. And the good ones are retiring. All of those things, I would say, don't get hung up on them too much. And I know that there's probably some eyes rolling, but there are people that want to work, and they're good people, and there's the right candidate to fill the positions that you have right now, probably around the corner from you. You just got to know where to find them. So here's some other things. So you have 2 different kind of candidates. So you have experienced and you have newer candidates. So as far as the newer upcoming generation to the trades, the truth is there's not a lot of them. And I think that's really where the gap is coming. And I'm guessing most of you guys would probably agree with me on that, is that, you know, they're not coming out of high school ready to be jumping into the trades. And let's talk about why real quick. I won't spend a whole lot of time on this, but the obvious one is that our trade is not sexy. It is to us. And now that we're in it, and now that we're in this amazing group, we know that the trades are actually very sexy, and they're needed too. Think about what the pandemic did. The pandemic went to where people started to realize how important the trades are. I mean, there's a lot of things that could be closed down. Government buildings, state parks. I mean, all these things can be closed down, but if you can't flush your toilet, whoo, that's an issue. So that's one of them, right? The other thing is the up and coming generation. Now they have more options than they've ever had before. And think about that. There's this on-demand work, and I'm sure there's a name for it, and I'm probably going to Google it afterwards and go, I wish I'd have said that. But there's like this on-demand work economy now. And basically that is your Ubers, your Lyfts, your DoorDashes. Like there's all these different ways that people can make money on the fly that is on their own terms. So they can work whenever they want. They can not work whenever they want. Obviously the financial reward on that is going to be a little bit different than being in the trades and having a skill, but a lot of the next coming up generation don't know that. So we have to do a better job of talking about that and teaching them on that. The other thing I talked about it a little bit is about the, kids coming out of school, coming out of high schools, ready to enter the trades. And a lot of that's because a lot of the reason that that's not a thing right now is schools don't talk about it. Right? My son just graduated. And he decided to go the military route. He is in the Marines right now, so very, very proud of him. And the kid's like my hero. It's a whole different thing I won't get into right now. But they weren't talking about the trades in his school. They weren't even talking about the military either, which is a whole different thing. But they weren't talking about the trades. And that's the problem is they're beating the drum of continuing education as far as, college, and they need to go to college and get this debt and all this other stuff. So that's another thing working against us in the trades is we don't have that. So there's a ton of other things that we could get down this whole rabbit hole on the why and listen, physical demands. Think about that too. Boy, you're going to work and it's hot and it's sweaty, but realistically, we all know that, gosh, it's better than sitting at a desk all day. But again, we're going to keep moving because I can talk about that all day. So what are some solutions, right? So we just talked about what the ALWAYS acronym stands for, right? Actively seeking talent, leverage social media, welcome referrals, appreciate and recognize talent, yield to flexibility, and seek feedback and act on it. So let's start with A. Let's go into the A. So actively seeking talent. I know that this is probably one of those things where you go, yeah, got that to check. We always should, but we're not doing that. Most of us are not doing that. We're waiting until we have a position to fill because really we want to think that Jim Bob is always going to be with us until he retires. And that's just not the case. So we want to always be looking out for top talent. And now not only do we want to look for top talent, but we have to know where we're looking for top talent. And here's another one. We have to know who is the top talent that we're looking for. So you got to know your avatar, right? And what I mean by that is what does your ideal candidate look like? Who's your avatar? Who is the person that when they walk in the door, you're like, boop, that right there, that's my perfect candidate right there. Do you know what the perfect candidate even looks like? Because there's step one. You've got to know what you're looking for before you can even figure out where they're looking for. So I said A is actively seeking. I'm going to also say now A is avatar. Know your avatar. So there's your second one. The other thing is once you know who your avatar is, now you need to figure out where do they hang out? And trust me, they all hang out somewhere. And no, it's probably not the bar and there's other places, but the more you dial in on who you're looking for, the easier it is to find out where they're hanging out. Because let's be honest, top talent is not typically actively seeking. So it's our job to be actively seeking that top talent. And Listen, the companies that are growing and scaling and winning are the ones that are actively seeking, because that ends up being their competitive advantage. So some of your techs may be leaving, going to these other companies, even though they may love your company, they've been sold a better vision at this other company. So some other things, some other ideas on that would be, check out your trade schools, right? And some areas have trade schools, some don't. I know for the area that I live in, we don't have any plumbing trade schools. We do have some HVAC ones. And I know we've gone through that route where people go, oh gosh, there's no good talent that comes out of there. Yes, there is. You just have to understand what the trade schools are teaching them. And it's, when you think about college, how many people come out of college and then they go to get a real job and they go, whoop, that's nothing like college. It's not going to be that much different than trade schools. You're still going to have to train them. They're not going to come out of trade school and all of a sudden you put them in a van and boom, they're operating your software. They know the way you want it done. That's not going to happen. The next thing is, and this is probably more of a personal thing, hire for attitude. For me, one of the things I've always done in our business is hire for attitude over aptitude. And you know what? That's going to be our next A. So now the A is going to be actively seeking your avatar and attitude. So there you go. So hire for attitude. Someone with a really good attitude, I promise you can teach them the trades. But you've got to know what you're looking for. And that doesn't just mean I want a 3-year technician that's been using this software. All of those things are great as a unicorn idea, but just make sure you have all that written down, because then when you hire somebody with a really good attitude, then now what you can do is now that becomes your training guide, which, by the way, I do have a worksheet that kind of walks through some of this stuff as far as the avatar goes, that at the end of the podcast, I'll give you my email address. And if it's something that you would like to use, then you hit me up and I'll be happy to send it to you. It's a great little worksheet. I've used it for years now and it's been super helpful. So there's the A. Let's jump to the L. The L is leveraging social media. So I can tell you personally, we have hired a lot of people using social media, and using social media, not for job posting ads, not for, hey, you want to come work for us? Not that kind of stuff. But listen, people want to go work somewhere that's cool. They want to go work somewhere that they're going to be appreciated. They're going to want to go work somewhere they're having fun. And social media is a really good opportunity to highlight things like that. So when you're doing when you're doing a monthly meeting or you're eating or you're having a party, make sure you're getting these pictures out there. Now, that doesn't mean give this false look of what you want your business to look like in order to get people to come in that then end up not staying because they're like, that's not what this was. Make sure you're living it. But social media is a great place. Again, yes, you can put job ads, but that's not the majority of what I'm talking about. Make sure that you're posting things about your company. If you want some examples, check out our company, Paradise Home Services. We post on there pretty often. We get a lot of people that come to us and they go, man, I was checking out your social media and really want to work here. So posting ads, it is one strategy, but making sure that you have just this amazing presence of what you're doing. Don't be scared to celebrate the wins, right? When you have team members of the month, or you have a drawing, or you have whatever you got going on, make sure to post it on there. Here's another thing. Once you know your avatar, there's a good chance some of them are hanging out on social media, some of them aren't. There's a good chance that in every house, if the technician is not hanging out on social media, the spouse is. So if you're not the kind of company that runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with on-call, boy, that'd be a pretty good thing to be posting out there online for a recruiting standpoint. I think it's a great competitive advantage, especially for a spouse, for somebody who's a technician to go, hey, you know what? He needs to be home more. This is a good opportunity for that. So there's a couple things. So I'll give you another really specific example of some things that we've used in the past when it comes to social media is use groups, right? So your avatar, I don't know, as you go through the worksheet, maybe they like to hunt, they like to fish, they like to, I don't know, whatever it is. I promise there is a social media group out there that is filled full of people that do those things. But here's another way to do it. There's groups out there also of people in your community, concerned citizens of fill in the blank of the city, mom groups of fill in the city. I don't know. There's 100 examples, but all of those places be seeking. We've actually recruited people because they've said, "Hey guys, we're moving to the area, and we're so excited. We're moving from wherever." And we'll just simply reply and go, "Hey, look, welcome to the neighborhood. We're so excited to see you. Hey, listen, we're Paradise Home Services. We're really excited to have you join our community. If we can ever do anything to help you, hey, listen, stop by and have a cup of coffee with us," right? We have had several times where that's happened, and we've ended up getting candidates. We actually got a candidate that was a service technician that knew our platform and had 3 or 4 years and hadn't even thought about applying yet because they were moving here first. So I don't know, that decision, that's a great technician, and your company makes X amount of dollars per month times 12. And you see where I'm going with this, right? So it was a huge financial gain that we didn't spend a whole lot of money out in order to get. So the ROI on that is ridiculous. But again, social media. So leverage social media. Next, welcome referrals. I know that most companies have a referral program of some sort. I know that sometimes that the companies forget to talk about it, and what doesn't get talked about kind of falls by the wayside. But I would definitely focus a little bit more, or focus on getting referrals from your existing team, right? Just superstars hang out with superstars. So if you've got a superstar tech, go ask them if they know anybody. If you have a less than superstar technician, they're like, "Hey, my buddy over here wants to come over here and work," you might want to maybe think about that a little bit. But I heard this from a company a couple of weeks ago that I thought was a really exceptional idea, and I want to share it with you guys. They have a referral bonus. I don't remember the exact numbers. I'm going to say $1,000 just to make the math easy. So they had a $1,000 referral that they gave for referrals for people to come work. And when they came to work, at the end of 90 days, they got 50% of the money. And the next 90 days, they got the next 50% of the money. So they're $500 and $500. And then every year on their anniversary, they got $500, whatever the number is. But it was a really good way to keep retention too, right? So now that team member has a little bit of skin in the game in order to make sure that that team member sticks around. So be creative with it. There's not one way to do it. It's your business. Have fun with it. Come up with all kinds of different ways to do it. But I would definitely welcome referrals. Referrals, just like we want referrals from customers, we want them the same from the recruiting standpoint too, which is great. So now let's go to the next day. The next day is going to be appreciate and recognize talent. So this is really about your culture. This is about having a really good culture. This is about you having the social media presence of your culture, but it's also, this is more about the living of the culture, right? So again, when you have team members that are really driving and doing a good job, make sure that you recognize them. Here's a habit that's really easy to get into. And I'm saying this because I've been there, I've done that, I've lived it, I've got the t-shirt, I've got the hat, I've got all of it. So it is easy to slip into this cave to where your underperforming team members get all of your attention. What I'm saying is don't let that happen, and make sure that you're recognizing top talent. Make sure when they do a good job, you're telling them. And I know, again, all these things are pretty easy, but I know I get it's a slippery slope where you come in and you get there early and 5 people call out sick and you're like, "Oh my God, this place," right? Make sure to listen, walk up to a team member tomorrow, today, and just say this: "Thank you." Watch what happens. right? Thank you for making this place awesome. Thank you goes a long ways. And I think it's one of those, lost arts. I think that we don't say that enough genuinely. Obviously, if you go like, thanks, man, like be genuine about it. Don't go to somebody that you're not, that you're not genuinely want to thank for being there. So, appreciate and recognize talent. Next one is going to be why. Yield to flexibility and work arrangements. So this kind of ties back to what I was talking about earlier of we live in a generation now where there's a lot of opportunity for people to do the Ubers and the DoorDashes and all that other stuff. Now, I'm not saying run out tomorrow and create an on-demand work schedule. You have to take care of customers. Or certain things that have to happen. And I'm sure at some point we'll get to where we have the ability to do all that. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this. If you've got a technician who can't be somewhere until 9 o'clock in the morning and you like to start at 7:30, don't shut that down because he can't be there at 7:30. There's technology, there's flexibility, be flexible, right? So if you have things going on at 7:30, you need their attention, then utilize technology and make a Zoom or record it or whatever. So yield to flexibility. I think we've been in a very rigid, we're kind of in a rigid world, right? Especially when it comes to like, you got to be here at 7:30. I can remember times where we fired guys for being 2 minutes late to meetings. And then at the same time, if you think about that, you go, okay, well, I'm riding them about not being here on time, but yet I can't guarantee what time they get home. Just think about that for a minute. So, and I'm not saying that being on time is not important. I am a stickler for it, but with leadership, have grace and just recognize that, right? So just yield to flexibility. This does not mean a guy is late all the time or more times than not, and you ignore it and sweep it under the rug. That's not at all what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is just be flexible, right? So for instance, if you have some sort of on-call rotation or whatever, and they're a single parent, roll with that. Roll with it. Figure out how to make that work and roll with it. Not to mention, if they're a really good team member, your competition may not roll with it, and now you get to keep them from a retention standpoint. So not only from being flexible can you hire top talent, but now you can keep top talent because of that. There's nothing wrong with part-time people too. So why yield to flexibility, work arrangements? I know there's a ton of other stuff I could go into on that, but I think you get it. So S, seek feedback and act on it. I know that exit interviews are probably one of the most uncomfortable things that is asked. And I know that out of most companies that I have been a part of or work with or have done coaching and training with over the years, I'm going to say less than 10% do exit interviews. And it's because they're uncomfortable, right? Or it's not or it's not possible, right? So somebody comes in, throws their keys and runs out the door. Hey, wait, let me do an exit interview real quick. That's not an option. But seek feedback. Ask your team. They don't have to be leaving for you to get feedback from them. So if you're doing one-to-ones, and if you don't know what that is, we'll have another podcast on that as well. But as you're connecting with your team, ask them for feedback. Hey, what do you love about this place? If you could change 2 things about this place, what would it be? If I handed you the keys to this building, what is it that you would do differently tomorrow? Ask for feedback, right? They're the ones that are doing the things. Find out from them what it is, because at the end of the day, they're your best sales tool, not only for customers, but for other employees that are coming in. Because listen, they're all talking. They're all texting back and forth. And even if they don't know each other before they get started, that's going to happen. So just ask what it is. And listen, sometimes you ask for feedback and you hear it and you're like, well, that'll never happen. That's okay too, but be honest about it. There is nothing wrong with having non-negotiables. we talk about this a lot, right? There's nothing wrong with non-negotiables. So if someone comes in and they go, I have a non-negotiable, my non-negotiable is I must be home at 3:00 every single day, no matter what. And if that's not something you can do, you can say, hey, I appreciate it, but there's no way I can do that. So just be okay with that. Be okay with having non-negotiables. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it at all. So another thing too, when you're getting feedback, again, this is kind of a whole loop of all the things that come from getting feedback and using it, but is that for company culture too, that's a good reason to get feedback. Hey, listen, we want our culture to be the best of the best. And in order to do that, I have to have feedback from you and all the other team members so we can figure out what to do. Listen, here's another one. There's ways for you to actually go in and send surveys out to people, and they're anonymous, and you can send them out and say, look, and get some clear feedback. And honestly, if you're going to do that, it's really, really easy once you set it up. I would highly encourage you to do it once a quarter, because you want to get some real feedback on what's going on from your company and your team members. Go ahead and do that and get it to them about once a quarter, because then there's a couple things. One, they'll be way more open and honest with you if they feel like it's anonymous, which it is. And two, when they put issues in there and you're resolving them, man, they get so pumped about that. And you can even say, listen, I didn't realize that this was an issue, and you guys brought it to my attention because of the survey, which, by the way, thank you. It's anonymous. I don't know who did it, but we have fixed that problem. Thank you so much. If there's anything else in the future that you guys think of, you don't have to wait for the survey. You can let me know, or if it's something you're uncomfortable with, and you can, send me an email or seek feedback and act on it. Wildly important. So there you go. There is the always recruiting process. So to recap, really, I think all these things are the why, because really the most important part of all of this recruiting is the always recruiting, meaning you should be recruiting all the time, whether it's from ads or whether it's thinking about it. Always be looking for the right candidate to come into your business and really to kind of level up your game. I would highly encourage you to take these steps and go out and apply them to your business. All of the things of everything we just talked about will be down in the show notes. So it's one of those things where you can take it and print it off, and you can go step by step. And as always, I'm here, but that's it. There is the always recruiting philosophy. And honestly, I think it is a game changer in the world of recruiting. And really, I want you to embrace the principles of always recruiting, actively seeking, welcoming, appreciating, yielding to flexibility, and seeking to not just fill positions, but to build a community of dedicated professionals who will help you and your company really grow to the next level. Share your progress, your challenges, and your victories with us on social media at Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Use the hashtag #AlwaysOnTheHunt.
You've been listening to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Information is useless if not applied. So take what you've learned and go and implement it. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on social media at Freedom Blueprint for Home Services, and hit the website at www.freedomblueprintpodcast.com. See you next time.